Wow, thank you. Amazing, awesome, supercalifragilistic. I love Cerise and having her here with us. Yes, very good, very good. So welcome to August. Can you believe it? Weren't we just having candle lighting service here for Christmas? It has flown by, has it not? We're already in the 8th month of the year. In August, I just was in Virginia, and I may have a little twang, and it'll go away, I promise, it'll go away. But we talk about the dog days of summer. I don't know if you grew up with that expression where you came from and where you grew up, but we talked about that because it's this in-between time, and it's a time when it's not quite summer, it's not quite fall. But yet we're going back to school, but it's hot, and we get cool evenings, and strange things start to happen. And I know many of us here in Arizona have returned from vacations. School is starting here. We're starting to get geared back up for fall activities and more in a routine, right? Summer can be a little routineless sometimes because we have vacations and visitors and pool parties and other fun things to do. But now we're sort of getting back on that routine. But before we do that, I want to pause. I want to pause in this month of August in these dog days and just look back and reflect and celebrate summer. We've had 2 months of fun talks. We did Winnie the Pooh for all of June. All of July we did Disney movies and had fantastic fun with that. Big finale last week with Reverend Dr. Michelle coming back in and doing Peter Pan for us. So thank you all for being here for that. And so now we're just going to talk about this month, our vacations. And we put out the invitation last week for you to send me some photos and stories. I haven't gotten many yet. I've gotten a few. So I'm going to put that call back out to you again. Just send me a couple photos of what represented your time away if you had that. Some of us did a staycation where we stayed in town maybe and took advantage of our fabulous resorts here in the Valley of the Sun that we can't get into in December, right? But we can in August and July. So some of us did that. Some of us explored our own backyards and stayed home and just enjoyed family and friends there. Maybe we just explored Arizona and went up north where it's cooler, maybe down to Bisbee where it's actually higher and cooler down there too. Or maybe you went to the beach. Whatever it might be, share those experiences. Some of you spend a lot of time looking through a windshield, I know. You did some cross-country stuff. There's a couple of Alaska trips I heard about. Lots of fun stuff that happens. So send me your stuff. Send me your stuff. So we're going to share those stories and photos like these. We've got a couple from my trip. The first one is, it's kind of hard to see on that, but that's a really nasty, gnarly storm coming in. And it's this life stormy weather, and it came in with a vengeance, and we couldn't even see across the lake. It was raining so hard, and we had white caps on the lake, and it's a little lake. So that was kind of fun. And then the next one is our whole theme was go jump in the lake. Go jump in the lake. And we did a lot of that because it was hot and it was humid, and that's the whole gang. That's all my brother, sister, their kids, grandkids, and Sparky the dog. So that's hanging out at the dock with all of us. And then I also got some from Penny and Phil and their adventures, and they're in the hot seat. They're in the hot seat. That's called the Fire Throne, I believe, in Bend, Oregon. And then they also did some barbecuing with their family also around the campfire. So fun stuff, getting out and being with family, enjoying time and disconnecting a little bit. So that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So our series this month is My Summer Vacation. And we're going to talk about the spiritual practice of self-care. Self-care. And why it is so very vital to our overall health and well-being. Did you know that? It's vital to our overall health and well-being. But we frequently forget it, don't we? We get so busy, we frequently forget it. So my talk today is just that. Is self-care, is it selfishness or is it self-care? And the subtitle is Being Over Busy is Overrated. Yeah, it's overrated. Now, how often do you hear or maybe even say, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. You ever say that? Anybody? Anybody ever heard it? I'm so busy, right? Well, we do. I think it's possibly one of the most frequently heard phrases in business today. Hi, how you doing? I'm busy. I'm so busy. Okay? Or even in our families, those who have children at home, oh my goodness, you've got to take them here and take them there. They're so active in everything that they're doing, and you want to participate in everything they're doing, and your schedule is amazing. So we are busy, we are full. But what if we could start to look at that instead of saying, I'm so busy, which kind of subconsciously communicates what? I don't have time to talk to you. I'm already busy. I'm already full. Don't bother me. Isn't that really subconsciously sort of what's being said? So instead of saying that automatically, what if we said, I'm so happy? Because really, I want to suggest to us that many of us who have full schedules and full lives have created those through the creative practice, through the creative process. We're doing it with intention. We love our businesses, we love our lives, we love our families, we love what we're doing. We're full, filled up, fulfilled. So instead of saying I'm busy, what if we said I'm happy? Think of the conversation starter. The next time someone says, how are you? I'm so happy. Oh my gosh, tell me why. Tell me why you're so happy. Let me hear your story. Does anybody ever ask, why are you so busy? What's going on? Sometimes. But usually they don't want to know because they're busy too, right? Exactly. So where's this little invasive mindset, this phraseology come from? Is anybody familiar with that old book from the 1800s called The Red Badge of Courage? Anybody heard of that book? Civil War time, a young soldier was in it, and he wanted to get wounded, and it's a long story. But anyway, the red badge was a wound. It's a wound in battle. That means you took fire. You were doing your soldierly duty. You took fire, and you have a red badge of courage. Now you're wounded. So has that phrase, I'm so busy, become our badge of value? Like a soldier's valuable because they were brave and were willing to be wounded. Are we valuable because we're so busy? I don't know. Food for thought. Food for thought. But I know we are busy. We are busy sometimes because we've planted our seeds. We've planted our seeds, and what happens when we plant seeds? The seed itself explodes. Did you know that? It explodes, and the roots go down, and the green shoots come up. So there's this giant activity that happens, and we're planting our seeds in the creative law all the time about what we're trying to create in our life. So we do get busy because it's manifesting, it's happening, we're doing these things, we've got to tend the plant, we've got to work on it, we've got to pay attention to what we've created, right? And we are busy. But isn't the natural flow an ebb and a flow of busy times and not so busy, and busy times and not so busy? And it seems that we get hooked on this thing of busy. It's almost like it's a high for us. We're addicted to busy. Well, we've got to rev down that engine a little bit, because we know with our automobiles what happens if we run them at a high rev for a long time. They break down, don't they? Well, the same happens with these bodies. If we run them real hard and fast for a long time, they're going to break down too. So we need to throttle back, as they say, gentlemen, right? Throttle it back. And is that the proper terminology? Am I correct in my mechanics? Maybe not. So, balance. Balance is an important thing, and many of you that have heard me over the years have heard me poo-poo balance because I equate it to a teeter-totter. And a teeter-totter is just no stinking fun if it's flat. It's a bench, right? It becomes a bench. It needs to go up and down. So balance is this flat plank. So I like to equate balance to a surfboard. Much more fun because we have to stay balanced on a surfboard, and that requires our core strength. And for me, that core strength is spirit. That is my grounded and anchoredness in source at all times. And then I can be in the midst of the hurricane and the winds and the storms of life, and I can still be centered. And I can still be in balance. But it's a fun ride, right? It's a much more fun ride than sitting on that bench. So we live in this 24/7 world, don't we? We can have anything we want 24/7. Can find it anywhere, pretty much. Well, there's a new medical condition you may have heard of called FOMO. Anybody familiar with FOMO? Fear of missing out. It's a in the moment. So all of this can lead us to the idea that self-care is a waste of time. I don't have time for it. I can't do it. It's something that I'll do later. I'll do it when I retire. That's what I'll do. I'll do that when I retire. But it can't be. I have found a quote from Arthur Sermacoli, and he says that self-care is never selfish, but it may feel that way when we live this frenzied life. This life where we're creating so much activity, so much drama perhaps is being attracted to us, and it seems like we're just at the mercy of the next thing, the next email, the next text, the next phone call that comes in, the next person that walks in my door, the next event on my calendar, the next thing on my to-do list. I'm just at the mercy of that. I don't have a life. All I'm doing is those things. So that's not living, is it? That's not being present, much like these guys in the other picture. That's not being present. But I think we do have, as I said earlier, our ebbs and flows. It's just that we need to find that place of balance and riding the wave. Balance and riding the wave. Many of you know that I am in farm and ranch management in my other job, as well as some other real estate fun things that I do. And we manage a ranch down in Tubac, which is a little bitty village down south of Tucson. And for years we have managed this, and we have been trying to get our farm workers to do the maintenance required on tractors. And they just don't get around to it. And we ask for receipts, when did you get oil changed, when did you get it serviced, and they just don't get around to it. And then we get the phone call, tractor's broken down. So that happens to us. I didn't get around to my self-care. I didn't get around to taking a break. And the wheels fell off. The wheels fell off. Fell off of the tractor. They can fall off of us too, can't they, if we don't take care of ourselves? That tractor can't take itself to the spa or the shop. We can. We can choose to take a break, can't we? We can choose. So do you ever forget to take care of yourself? Do you ever forget to take care of yourself? You get so busy in that list of things that you forget to take care of yourself? Yeah. Sometimes it's a conscious choice. I don't have time to do yoga today. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Push it into the future. It's late. I've got to go home. I'm in between meetings. I'm going to go through the drive-thru and grab a quick snack instead of going home and making a healthy dinner. Oh, I need to stay up and work a little bit later tonight. I can't quite get enough rest. I just need to get this project done. I don't know, I'm tired this morning. I'm going to sleep in a little bit and not do my spiritual practice. I know none of you never do that. None of you never do that. You never miss church because of that, right? So these are conscious choices that we make when we procrastinate, push out our self-care. We do make conscious choices, but we also make subconscious choices about that. When I was at home, my brother was sharing a story with us about his eating habits. That they seem to talk about food a lot in the South. Even from the South. I mean, it's like, what's for breakfast and we're planning lunch. And lunch we're planning dinner. And then dinner we're planning tomorrow's meal. I mean, it's funny. But my brother was talking about his eating habits and how he would get up in the morning and have a big ranch breakfast, and then he'd go work in the yard or work in his shop all day long, and then come in for dinner and have a big dinner. And he wouldn't eat all day long. He was almost bragging about it. And then the next story he tells us is about how he's now on medication for his diabetes. Now that's a new manifestation. Last year he was trying to control his diet with, control his diabetes early onset with his diet. Well, it didn't sound like he did a very good job, so now he's on medication for it. Well, fortunately, my sister-in-law is retired, and she's now helping him to manage his food a little bit better. But on Sunday morning, what did he want to do? He wanted to make pancakes. So he did. He did. So we can definitely make good decisions. We can make not so good decisions. But we're a choice, and that's the beauty of it, right? We're all a choice. Do we care for ourselves in a loving way? And that example is profound for me because he wasn't willing to care for himself, but his wife is willing to take that, I'll call it a project, that project on of assisting him in maintaining his good health. So I find that interesting that we are very oftentimes willing to do for others things that we won't do for ourselves. And I know many of us in this room are service providers, caregivers, and that we frequently will allow our energy, our resources to drain substantially in the service to someone else. And it's like the airplanes, you know, your oxygen mask first, right? We've got to fill our cup, fill our bucket so that we can continue to be of service. But it's very easy for us to do that because giving service feels so good, doesn't it? Being of service to someone else, to another human being, helping another human being is so rewarding. Yeah. But we got to remember, we've got to keep ourselves plugged in, charged up, and tuned in. So I know for me, when I am getting off track a little bit in my life, when I hear people say, I know you're busy, but I don't want to interrupt you, but that's a big red flag for me. Because whether or not I am, I'm getting the appearance that I'm over busy. And remember the opening conversation of, that means I don't have time for you. And I never want to be that person. So when that happens to me, it's a red flag, and I stop and become very present with whoever's in front of me and assist them in any way that I can. And then I do my work on that and look at my life. Have I overscheduled? Have I gotten myself over busy, over committed to things? And sometimes I have. But frequently it's the other case where I'm so happy. My schedule is full. I'm loving life. I'm loving what I'm doing. I love every aspect of it. And yes, it's very full. So I try to say that these days. How's life? Full, awesome, delicious. I love those words. That shocks people, doesn't it? Because they're used to you saying, I'm fine. How's your life? Delicious, opulent. See? Wouldn't that be a fun conversation? And people would go, why? What are you doing? So that's when I start to look at me. I start to look at me when I listen to other people's conversations to me, towards me. And start to look at that. Am I over busy? And, you know, frankly, many of you know this first part of this year has been a little hectic for me. I decided to sell my house and downsize. That's not a project for the faint of heart. It takes a lot more energy, effort, and activity than one realizes until one gets in the midst of it. So it did. It was very draining. And I was not getting my own self-care during that time, and I realized that. And this trip back home was very good for me. And it was interesting because part of my journey was to be that I was working on a big project for me personally, and I was going to be taking a lot of time, private time, spiritual time, working on all of this. And I got nothing. I got nothing. And it wouldn't come. I couldn't go deep. I stayed in my head, and I got very frustrated. I got very frustrated. See, it happens to all of us, right? It happens to all of us. I got very frustrated. So what did I do? I surrendered. I just surrendered, and I went and jumped in the lake, right? I just went and jumped in the lake. Because I had to surrender to being in that present moment with the family, with the water, with the storms, and everything else that was going on. So I surrendered, and I let it go. And when I got on the plane to come back on Wednesday, I was feeling a little frustrated still then, because you know, you have all these plans when you're traveling. I've got all that time on the airplane. I've got all this downtime. I'm going to accomplish so much. And I was a little frustrated, but yeah, y'all know, right? So nothing was happening. And then I met a lovely lady on the plane. We talked the whole way. I normally never do that. And you know, I thought, wow, I'm just going to have to stuff this into this weekend and get this done for next week. Driving to work Thursday morning, I get this flood of everything that I need, all the direction I'm looking for, again on Friday, again on Saturday, again this morning, even more coming through. So that's how it works, right? When we surrender and let go of the doing, Spirit can flow through us. Because Spirit can't do for us what Spirit can't do through us. And if we're so busy in the doingness of our own minds, Spirit can't do for us through us. We don't let it in. We don't let it in. There is a, totally lost my place. I'm all over the place this morning. Sorry about that. There's a phrase out there, the mantra that we've all been raised with, which is the idea of do things right. If you do things right, then you will have the things you desire. So work hard, and then you'll be able to have the things that you want. And then you'll become the person that deserves those things you want, right? And you'll become that person once you have all of those things you think you want. Relationship, career, money, job, whatever it might be. Science of mind, well, let's back up. Does that work? Although my expression, no, that doesn't work, does it? That doesn't work. And we see millions of examples, one of which is in the lottery, right? All that bucket load of money, but then they don't maintain it typically. They don't maintain it typically. They typically end up back in the same socioeconomic condition that they started with because they don't be that person yet, right? They weren't being that person before they achieved that wealth. So in Science of Mind, that's what we teach. First, we must be that which we seek in order to have what we seek, because we will do, in the meantime, that which we need to attract it to us. So if we are seeking love, we must first be love. And when we become love, then we do things that love does. And the next thing you know, you have love all around, because you've attracted that which you are. You've attracted that which you are. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, tells us in The Science of Mind, all is mind, and we attract to us what we first become. He goes on to say, until we learn to love, we are not sending out love vibrations. And not until we send out those vibrations can we receive love in return. It's impossible. So love begins at home, doesn't it? Right here, self-love. Love begins at home with self-love of ourselves. We be that, and then we experience that in all of our relationships with friends, with family, with loved ones, in the world. We must first become it. So what is this thing called self-care? What is it? I've been talking around it all morning. What is it? And as a spiritual practice, it's intentional. It's intentional. There's a difference. Intentional actions you take to care for your physical, mental, and emotional health. Body, mind, and spirit, right? And intention is the key. Is golfing a self-care activity? Exactly. Maybe. It can be. If you're entertaining clients, I'm going to say no way. Because you're working, right? You're focused outward. You're focused on them. You're focused on them having a good time. You're focused on doing business on the golf course, perhaps. But if you're playing golf for you, for me, the me time, this can be a spiritual practice. Then it can be a spiritual practice. Anything can be. And that is, for me, the difference. Is the intention that we set for the activity that we're doing. And self-care is all about me time. Because we do give so much. We are of so much service in the world that we need that me time to fill up the me bucket. Do something just for me. Not me as a minister, not me as a mother, not me as an auntie, whatever it might be, or an executive, but me as the me. And each of you as the individual you of who you are, and not the roles that you play, not the job that you do. So this idea of self-care, let's look at our practicing the principles. We have that each week where we're practicing the principles, and again, we'll put this slide up at the end of service. So if you'd like to take a picture of it, you've got it in your phone for reference later on in the week. I'll post this on the website also with some more of the details I'm going to talk about this morning. So our first principle that we're to practice the principle is to schedule self-care daily. It is not one and done. Oh yeah, I did self-care in 1996. I'm done. I did mine. No, it's daily. We have to do it every day. It's like Zig Ziglar says about showering. We have to do it every day. So I've got the guys that I work with. They have a workout time that they have every day from like 11 o'clock until 2. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays they leave and they go and they do their workout. And they won't schedule meetings during that time. It is a sacred space on their calendars that unless something really urgent comes up, they do. It's my spiritual practice in the morning. It's my 4 a.m. That's a sacred time for me. That is what I do. So what is your self-care sacred time that you block for yourself? What do you schedule for yourself each day? It doesn't have to be hours. It doesn't have to be hours. And it's like anything, it can be tiny changes. You know, water is one of the most powerful forces on Earth. If you drip just one drop of water consistently on a rock over time, it wears it down, doesn't it? But you can't hold it. You can't hold water in your hands unless it's in a container. So it's the small changes done with consistency that change our life. So it does start with tiny habits. So let's look at tiny habits. And we're going to cover mind, body, and soul. So mind, what do we do? How do we feed our minds? Read something inspiring every day. Read something inspiring every day. What do I like to read? Okay. Watch a TED Talk. Find an inspiring TED Talk on the internet, or go to YouTube and watch something inspiring there. Do you know there's a video out there that's just an aquarium with fish swimming around? I mean, there's some cool stuff on YouTube when you go in there, but you can find about anything that you want. So if you don't want to read, you can listen. Listen to beautiful music. It was funny in my stuff, some of the things that I found. And we are so bombarded, aren't we, by negativity all the time? And even now in this climate, right now with where we are for the next few months, you can't even drive down the road without reading negative signs in our political ads, right? We're just bombarded. The media, the radio, the television, the internet, our social media, our friends. Some of our friends may not share the same opinions that we do, and we hear these things. So we're constantly getting that influx of negativity. And we need to offset at least a little bit of it each and every day. Give ourselves something good to think about, read about, think about in our minds. I don't know if you remember, many of you may, the old adage when we first started learning about computers, garbage in, garbage out, right? So we need to put some good stuff in. We need to put some good stuff in. The second is our body. Move it, right? Move it. Do something. Do something. Stretch, walk, work out. One of the prominent things I saw throughout most of my research was dance. When's the last time you danced? Even in the privacy of your own home, come on. Yeah, exactly. In the privacy of your own, just move to the music. Move your body. Let it move to the music. It's so refreshing, and it's ancient in our DNA. It's ancient in our DNA. Just move. In our meditation class, we learned the yoga pose of sun salutation, and that's a wonderful kind of full body stretch to get you moving in the morning and get the blood flowing. It's a wonderful practice. Add something like that in. And other little things that you can do. Take the stairs. We've heard that for years, right? Take the stairs. Park a little further away. Walk a little further to the front door. Take the long way around. You know, when you go to the restroom at work, instead of going point A to point B, take a detour. You might meet somebody new. Just a little, go a different route to the copier if you have a remote copier in your office. Little things that will help us to move our bodies in a new and different way. Around your house, just walking extra steps within your own home. Anything like that where you can add a little bit more movement to your day. And then the third is soul. Feeding our soul, say a prayer. Is that easy? Was it St. Francis, one of the saints, that said, if the only prayer you ever say is thank you? That's an easy one. We can say that, can't we? Yeah, gratitude. Gratitude is a big one. We can have our affirmations and meditation. I say that every week. Meditation is always a good practice, and it doesn't have to be hours. Sarah McLean, when she was with us, recommended an app on our phones for, hey, I know I got several meditation partners here, called Insight Timer. And it is wonderful, and I can see Lori and Lisa's pop up in the mornings and meditate with me, so that's kind of fun. So I invite you all to join that, and we'll all meditate together. But it tracks your meditation, and you can see what an influence you're having on your life. You can watch your meditation practice, so that's a lot of fun. And then finally, the third point is remember to halt. Remember to halt. Anybody know what that acronym is for?
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
That's it. It is an acronym for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, and it's a self-care mechanism that whenever you feel any of those in your body, halt, stop, and remedy that situation before you can be of service to yourself or anyone else. Remedy the situation. Take care of yourself first. So that's a big red flag for us, is to halt. So when we're rested, well-nourished, informed, inspired, and connected, we're prepared to face whatever the day might hold, aren't we? Aren't we more prepared to face whatever those winds might be blowing in whatever direction? When we're off balance, it's a little more difficult because we're already trying to correct that balance instead of being ready to face the wind. So I want to give you a quick typical day and then we'll wrap up. Some ideas. You can read The Science of Mind. We talked about that. We've got some copies out in the lobby in this. We have daily guides written by some of our fabulous ministers throughout our movement, and each day is one page. It'll take you 2.5 minutes, maybe, to read. That's your inspiring reading. And there's an affirmation at the bottom of the page. And it's thought-provoking. And this could be your reading that you could get very easy, simple, quick, fast, done. Stretching. Say that prayer. So if you do a stretch, a prayer, read the daily guide, you got it! You're done! How long does that take? 10 minutes? Wow! What a way to transform your life. I'm going to write a book, How to Transform Your Life in 10 Minutes. All right, so there you go. That's one way. Other ideas. How many are still doing the 1, 2, 3, 4? What am I grateful for? Alarm clock set on your phone at 12:34 every day. It goes off with a reminder that says, what are you grateful for? And you stop and you bring yourself to gratitude midday. And if anybody else is around, you ask them, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? And it's a wonderful conversation starter. What else can we do? Happy hour. How many people like happy hour? Yeah, woo! How about a happy hour of meditation before your happy hour? It's that little transition time. I call it happy hour. I stole that from Sarah. But it's that little meditation time between getting out of the car from your day and starting your evening with family or loved ones or whatever you might be doing in the evening time that you weren't doing in the daytime. You can just have a little break, 5 or 10 minutes of stillness to kind of reset. It's a wonderful process. And then maybe each time you fill your water glass, we drink a lot of water in the desert, don't we? So every time you go to fill your water glass back up, what if you experience gratitude for the water and for your health and the hydration and the purity that we have of free, clear running water coming into us and the ice to chill it? Gratitude. It's a wonderful, wonderful practice. So there are many ways that we can incorporate this practice into our life, tiny, tiny little ways. And like that drop of water, they make a big difference over time. But what it really does for us, it tells our subconscious, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. So it's reinforcing that message to ourselves that we are loved, and lovable. And that we're worth it. I'm worth a little self-care. Doesn't that feel good? Because you are. You are worth it. So in order to nurture a healthy mind, body, and soul, we just need to recenter and restore. Love those words, recenter and restore. And these things about self-care, just putting it in practice, it requires you choosing, like any of our spiritual practices. We have to choose to do it, and then we have to intentionally do it. Intentionally do it. So I promise you that if you'll do this week, I promise to you, if you will do this week, you will have more joy, more rest, and more soul healthfulness all week. So I invite you right now to join me in a little self-care as we go into prayer and spiritual mind treatment. So just breathing in and allowing that nourishing, wonderful breath of oxygen to fill our bodies as we feel them relax into the moment of receiving. As we recognize that God is all that there is, there's nothing else but that power and that presence, that one life, one mind. That presence that is love, that is joy and peace, and it's harmony, and it is balance. And all of that power, that presence, and that love is here now present in this room, in through and as me, as an expression of itself, and in through and as each one of us here sitting in the room, and those who may be listening on the recording. God is right where we are, because there's no place that God is not. That's not a possibility. So from that knowing, from that unity, I speak my word for about each one of us, knowing, claiming, and accepting in this day the love that we are, the peace that we are, in form, in expression. And I know that as each of us steps into our week ahead, we remember our own worthiness, the self-care that we need, for the filling up that we deserve of the presence, of the power, of the self-care, of the recharge and restore. And I know for anyone that's got anything on their heart this week that they're struggling with or filled up with joy and gratitude for, we lift that into the light and the love of prayer, knowing that they are fully supported, guided, guarded, and full clarity comes forth to and through them as Spirit expresses as their life. And how grateful I am for this manifestation, the manifestation of this prayer, and the creation that is all around us and at every moment. So I release this prayer into the action of law, knowing that it's done. It's so. There's nothing else to be done. I release it and let it be, and we anchor this and affirm it together by saying, and so it is.